you're about to quietly enter. The moment everything changes for you. There comes a moment in every person's life that almost no one sees coming. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't announce itself with applause. It doesn't send a warning or ask for permission. It slips into your life quietly, like the first light before sunrise. At first, everything appears the same. Wake up in the same room, walk the same streets, face the same responsibilities, and speak to the same people. Yet something invisible has shifted. A new version of you has begun to emerge, and that quiet inner change is about to transform everything you once believed was impossible. Many people spend their lives waiting for a dramatic sign that tells them their breakthrough has arrived. They expect a miracle to interrupt their routine or a sudden opportunity to appear out of nowhere. But history, success, and personal transformation all reveal the same timeless truth. The greatest turning points begin long before anyone else can recognize them. Every extraordinary life has a hidden chapter where nothing seems to be happening on the outside while everything is changing on the inside. The seed grows in darkness before it ever reaches the sunlight. The butterfly transforms inside the cocoon long before it spreads its wings. In the same way, your greatest chapter is being written in moments that may seem ordinary today. Perhaps you've questioned why you've had to wait so long. Perhaps you've wondered why certain doors closed, why relationships ended, why plans fell apart, or why life seemed to move everyone else forward while you remained standing still. But what if those delays were never punishments? What if every disappointment was quietly repositioning you? What if the season you called empty was actually preparing you for a life greater than you could have imagined? Sometimes life removes what no longer belongs, because it is making room for what truly does. The truth is that everything changes the moment you stop searching outside yourself for permission to become who you were created to be. The greatest breakthrough is not something you chase. It is something you become ready to receive. The world begins responding differently when your thoughts change, your expectations rise, your confidence grows, and your identity expands. Long before your circumstances transform, your mind has already crossed into a new reality. That invisible decision becomes the birthplace of every visible success. Today, I invite you to listen with an open heart and an open mind. Set aside your doubts, your past disappointments, and every story that has convinced you your best days are behind you. Because what if they are not? What if this very season, the one that has tested your patience, challenged your faith, and stretched your resilience, is actually the final chapter before everything begins to unfold? What if, without realizing it, you are standing at the edge of the very moment that will redefine your future? This is not a speech about luck. It is not about waiting for someone else to rescue you, or hoping circumstances magically improve. It is about awakening the power that has always existed within you. It is about recognizing that the quietest moments often carry the loudest destinies. And it is about understanding that your life can change forever, not because the world suddenly becomes different, but because you do. So as we begin this journey together, remember this one truth above all else. The biggest transformations rarely make the biggest entrance. They arrive in silence. They begin with a decision. They grow through faith. And before the world sees the new chapter of your life, you will quietly step into the moment where everything changes for you. The greatest transformations begin in silence. There is a powerful truth that most people overlook because it does not fit the dramatic stories we often tell ourselves about success and transformation. The greatest changes in life begin in silence. They rarely announce themselves with excitement or certainty. They do not knock on your door with a guarantee that your future is about to improve. Instead, they arrive quietly, almost unnoticed, while the world around you appears exactly the same. You wake up in the same bed, drive the same roads, go to the same job, and speak with the same people, yet something invisible has already begun to shift. Deep within you, your perspective is changing. Your expectations are rising. Your willingness to let go of old limitations is growing stronger. These inner movements may seem insignificant, but they are the very foundation upon which every extraordinary life is built. Just as dawn begins before the sun becomes visible above the horizon, your greatest season begins before you can see any physical evidence of it. Many people make the mistake of believing that change starts when circumstances change. They think everything will be different after they receive the promotion, meet the right person, launch the successful business, or achieve a lifelong dream. But lasting transformation does not begin with external events. It begins with an internal decision. Every breakthrough is first born in the unseen world of thought, belief, and imagination. The moment you stop identifying with fear, limitation, and past disappointment, you begin creating space for an entirely new future. Nothing around you may look different at first, yet everything within you has already started moving in a new direction. That quiet shift is often the most important moment of your journey because it changes not only what you do but also who you become. Think about nature for a moment. A seed does not become a towering tree overnight. Long before anyone admires its branches or enjoys its shade, it spends time hidden beneath the soil. During that unseen season, roots are spreading deeper into the earth, gathering strength for the growth that will eventually become visible. If someone judged the seed only by what they could see on the surface, they might conclude that nothing was happening. Yet beneath the ground, an extraordinary transformation was already taking place. Human lives follow the same pattern. The seasons that appear quiet are often the seasons where the deepest growth occurs. Your confidence is developing, your wisdom is expanding, your patience is increasing, your vision is becoming clearer. These invisible changes prepare you for opportunities that your former self could never have sustained. Too often, people abandon their dreams because they mistake silence for failure. They assume that because nothing dramatic has happened yet, nothing ever will. They compare their lives to others and believe they are falling behind. But comparison blinds you to the unique timing of your own journey. Every meaningful transformation unfolds according to its own rhythm. Some flowers bloom in early spring, while others wait until late summer. Neither is late. Each follows the design written into its nature. Your life is no different. What appears to be a delay may actually be preparation. The opportunities that belong to you require a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, more disciplined, and more confident than the person you were yesterday. The quiet season is where that version of you is being formed. This is why patience is not passive waiting. True patience is active growth. It is choosing to believe in your future even when you cannot yet measure your progress with visible results. It is continuing to invest in your character, your habits, your knowledge, and your mindset while trusting that these unseen investments will eventually produce remarkable outcomes. Every day you choose hope over doubt, courage over fear, and purpose over comfort. You strengthen the foundation beneath your future success. Others may not notice these changes, but they are shaping the life you are preparing to live. There comes a moment when all those silent days suddenly make sense. The opportunity appears, the relationship arrives, the breakthrough happens, the door opens. To everyone watching from the outside, it may seem sudden, as though everything changed overnight, yet you know the truth. The visible victory began long before anyone could see it. It began in the quiet mornings when you refused to quit. It began in the lonely moments when you chose faith instead of despair. It began each time you believed in your future, despite having no evidence that it was close. What others call luck is often the result of countless invisible decisions made with consistency and determination. If you find yourself in a season where nothing seems to be changing, do not underestimate what is happening beneath the surface. Your silence is not empty. Your waiting is not meaningless. Your unseen progress is not wasted. Every challenge is refining your character. Every setback is teaching resilience. Every unanswered question is stretching your vision beyond what you once believed possible. The quiet season is not keeping you from your destiny, it is preparing you for it. So embrace this moment with confidence rather than fear. Stop measuring your future by today's circumstances. Measure it instead by the person you are becoming. Trust that every thought you elevate, every habit you improve, every fear you release, and every dream you continue to nurture is carrying you closer to the life you were meant to experience. The greatest transformations never need to announce themselves. They begin quietly, grow steadily, and reveal themselves only when the foundation is strong enough to support the extraordinary life that follows. And perhaps, without even realizing it, you have already entered that silent beginning, the moment where everything is changing for you. Stop looking for evidence. Become the evidence. One of the greatest obstacles standing between people and the life they desire is the constant need for proof before they are willing to believe. They tell themselves they will feel confident when success arrives. They will believe in themselves once others recognize their value. They will expect abundance after they see more money in their bank account. They will live with joy when every problem finally disappears. But this way of thinking keeps them trapped in an endless cycle of waiting. If your beliefs are always dependent on your current circumstances, then your circumstances will continue to dictate the direction of your life. Real transformation begins when you reverse that pattern. Instead of asking your future to prove itself to you, you begin proving to the future that you are ready for it. You stop looking for evidence and become the evidence yourself. Every meaningful achievement begins as an invisible decision long before it becomes a visible reality. The entrepreneur becomes successful long before the business becomes profitable because they have already developed the discipline, persistence, and mindset that success requires. The confident speaker first learns to think confidently before they ever stand before an audience. The person who experiences lasting peace does not wait for a perfect world to appear. They cultivate peace within themselves, regardless of what is happening around them. The outer world eventually reflects the inner world, but it almost never happens in reverse. This is why your identity matters more than your circumstances. What you consistently believe about yourself shapes the choices you make, the opportunities you notice, the relationships you attract, and the standards you refuse to compromise. Everything begins with the person you decide to become. Too many people allow yesterday's experiences to define tomorrow's possibilities. They carry old disappointments like permanent labels. A failed relationship convinces them they are difficult to love. A financial setback convinces them they will always struggle. A missed opportunity convinces them that success belongs only to other people. Yet your past is a record of where you have been, not a prediction of where you are going. Every new day offers an opportunity to adopt a different identity, and with that identity comes a different future. You are never obligated to remain the person you were yesterday if you are willing to think differently today. The greatest prison is not your circumstances. It is believing those circumstances define who you are. Imagine someone preparing to climb a mountain. Before reaching the summit, they already begin acting like a climber. They train consistently, strengthen their endurance, study the terrain, and develop the habits necessary for the journey ahead. They do not wait until they reach the top before becoming capable of climbing. They become capable first, and then they reach the top. Life follows the same principle. If you desire greater opportunities, begin thinking like someone who can handle greater responsibility. If you seek meaningful relationships, become the kind of person who offers honesty, kindness, and emotional maturity. If you dream of living with purpose, start making purposeful decisions today, even if they seem small. The identity always comes before the achievement. This also means letting go of the habit of constantly seeking validation from the outside world. There will always be people who doubt your vision because they cannot yet see what you see. Some may question your decisions, misunderstand your growth, or underestimate your potential. Their opinions do not determine your future. History is filled with people who pursued their calling despite criticism, uncertainty, and moments when there was little outward evidence that their efforts would succeed. What separated them was not luck or perfect timing. It was their willingness to remain faithful to the person they were becoming, even when no one else believed in it yet. Every day offers countless opportunities to become the evidence of the life you want to create. Speak with confidence before confidence feels natural. Practice gratitude before your circumstances appear ideal. Show generosity before abundance seems obvious. Carry yourself with integrity even when no one is watching. Continue learning when progress feels slow. Remain hopeful when visible results have not yet appeared. These choices may seem ordinary, but they quietly reshape your character, and your character ultimately shapes your destiny. The future is not built through one dramatic moment. It is built through consistent actions that reflect the identity you have chosen. There will be moments when doubt whispers that nothing is changing. It will encourage you to return to old habits because they feel familiar. Resist that temptation. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it asks you to leave behind a version of yourself that can no longer carry you where you are meant to go. Every time you choose courage instead of fear, possibility instead of limitation, and faith instead of uncertainty, you strengthen the new identity you are creating. Those choices accumulate over time until they become your natural way of living. The remarkable truth is that the world responds differently when you respond differently to yourself. Opportunities appear clearer because you are prepared to recognize them. Relationships improve because your expectations and boundaries become healthier. Challenges become stepping stones instead of obstacles because your perspective has matured. None of this happens because the world suddenly changes overnight. It happens because you have changed first. You no longer need constant proof that your future is possible because your own mindset, habits, and actions have become living proof. You have stopped searching for evidence outside yourself and have become the evidence that everything is already moving in a new direction. And when your inner reality aligns with your highest vision, the outer reality has no choice but to begin reflecting the person you have already decided to become. Every delay has been positioning you. One of the hardest lessons to embrace is that life does not always reveal its purpose while you are living through it. When a door closes, it feels like loss. When plans fall apart, it feels like failure. When months or even years pass without seeing the breakthrough you hoped for, it is easy to believe that life has forgotten you. Yet some of the greatest stories of transformation begin with seasons that looked like setbacks. What appears to be a delay is often a period of preparation. What feels like rejection may actually be protection. What seems like a detour may be guiding you toward a destination far greater than the one you originally imagined. Life has a remarkable way of arranging events that make little sense in the present, but become perfectly clear when viewed from the future. The challenge is learning to trust the process before you understand the outcome. Think about the moments in your life that disappointed you the most. Perhaps there was an opportunity you desperately wanted but never received. Maybe someone walked away when you believed they would stay forever. Perhaps a dream collapsed after years of effort, leaving you questioning whether your hard work had been wasted. Those experiences can leave deep emotional scars if you view them only through the lens of loss. But what if those moments were not endings at all? What if they were redirections? How many people have looked back years later and realized that the very thing they once begged life to give them would have prevented them from experiencing something even better? Sometimes the greatest blessing is not receiving what you asked for because it creates space for something you never knew was possible. The difficulty is that we naturally judge our lives based on what we can see today. We assume that if progress is invisible, then progress is not happening. But life is constantly working beneath the surface. Just as a sculptor removes pieces of stone before the masterpiece can emerge, your journey often requires things to be removed before your next chapter can begin. Old beliefs must fall away. Unhealthy relationships must come to an end. Comfortable routines that no longer support your growth must be replaced. Even opportunities that seem attractive may need to disappear because they would keep you from discovering your true potential. At the time, these changes may feel painful, but pain and purpose are not always enemies. Sometimes discomfort is simply the signal that you are growing beyond what once defined you. There is wisdom in recognizing that timing matters just as much as desire. Imagine handing the keys of a high-performance vehicle to someone who has never learned to drive. The vehicle itself is not the problem, the timing is. Without the necessary skill and maturity, what was meant to be a blessing could quickly become a disaster. Life often operates in the same way. The opportunities you are waiting for require a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, more patient, and more resilient than the person you were when you first desired them. The waiting season is not empty. It is developing the character needed to sustain the success you hope to receive. A breakthrough that arrives before you are prepared can become a burden instead of a blessing. This perspective changes the way you respond to disappointment. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this preparing me for?" Instead of assuming every delay is punishment, you begin considering that it may be positioning. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to develop qualities that can't be learned in comfort. Patience is strengthened through waiting. Courage grows through uncertainty. Wisdom is often born through failure. Compassion deepens through hardship. Confidence becomes genuine when it survives seasons of doubt. These qualities are not acquired instantly. They are shaped over time, often in moments when nothing appears to be moving forward. The remarkable truth is that life often connects events in ways we could never predict. One conversation leads to another. One unexpected decision opens the door to a completely different future. One apparent setback introduces you to the people, experiences, or insights that eventually transform your life. Had the original plan succeeded exactly as you expected, you might never have encountered the opportunities that were waiting along the alternative path. This is why flexibility is so important. Sometimes the future you need is hidden behind the plan you are willing to release. As you continue your journey, resist the temptation to measure your progress only by visible achievements. Measure it by who you are becoming. Are you more patient than you were a year ago? Are you more confident, more disciplined, more compassionate, more willing to take meaningful risks? These are not small victories. They are evidence that your foundation is becoming stronger. The world celebrates visible success, but lasting success is built upon invisible growth. Long before anyone applauds your accomplishments, your character has already been quietly transformed. So if you are living through a season that feels slower than you expected, do not assume you have been forgotten. The delay may be doing far more for you than immediate success ever could. Every challenge is strengthening you. Every closed door is directing you. Every unanswered question is expanding your vision. Every step, even the difficult ones, is positioning you for what comes next. One day, you will look back and realize that what seemed like life holding you back was actually life moving you into exactly the place where your greatest opportunities could finally find you. And when that moment arrives, you will understand that the delay was never your enemy. It was quietly preparing the life you were always meant to live. The quiet season is where your power is built. There is a season that almost everyone tries to escape, yet it is the very season that produces the strongest, wisest, and most resilient people. It is the quiet season, the period when progress feels slow, recognition is absent, and nothing seems to be happening on the surface. It is easy to believe that these moments are empty because they are not filled with applause, promotions, celebrations, or dramatic breakthroughs. But the truth is that the quiet season is never empty. It is full of invisible work. It is the place where your character is strengthened, your vision becomes clearer, your priorities are refined, and your inner foundation is built strong enough to support the life you are preparing to receive. Every lasting success rests upon a foundation that very few people ever see, and that foundation is almost always constructed during seasons of silence. Our world often celebrates visible results while ignoring the invisible process that creates them. We admire the confident leader, but rarely see the years they spent overcoming self-doubt. We applaud the successful entrepreneur without witnessing the countless setbacks, sleepless nights, and difficult decisions that shaped their resilience. We celebrate remarkable achievements while forgetting the ordinary days filled with consistent effort that made those achievements possible. This creates the illusion that transformation happens suddenly. In reality, what looks like an overnight success is usually the result of years spent growing quietly when no one was watching. The moments that receive the least attention are often the moments that have the greatest influence on the future. The quiet season teaches lessons that no classroom can provide and no shortcut can replace. It teaches patience when immediate results are nowhere to be found. It teaches discipline when motivation disappears. It teaches faith when certainty cannot be seen. It teaches emotional stability by reminding you that your value does not depend on constant recognition or external validation. During these moments, you begin discovering a strength that circumstances cannot give and cannot take away. You stop depending on applause to stay committed because your purpose becomes greater than the opinions of others. You realize that the most important conversations are not the ones happening around you, but the ones happening within you. The thoughts you choose, the beliefs you reinforce, and the standards you maintain during quiet seasons quietly determine the direction of your future. There is something remarkable about learning to remain consistent when nobody is paying attention. Anyone can stay motivated when success arrives quickly and encouragement is abundant. The true test of character comes when the path grows lonely, progress feels invisible, and doubt begins whispering that your efforts are meaningless. Those are the moments that separate temporary enthusiasm from lasting commitment. Every day you continue improving your skills, strengthening your mindset, refining your habits, and choosing hope over discouragement. You are becoming someone capable of handling opportunities that your previous self could not have managed. The quiet season is not simply changing your circumstances, it is changing you. Think about the process of constructing a skyscraper. Before the impressive structure begins rising into the sky, engineers spend enormous amounts of time digging deep into the ground to create a foundation capable of supporting tremendous weight. To an observer passing by, it may seem as though nothing impressive is happening. In fact, it may even appear as though progress has gone backward, because the builders are digging down instead of building up. Yet those hidden months of preparation determine whether the building will stand strong for decades or collapse under pressure. Human growth follows the same principle. Before life elevates you to greater responsibilities, deeper relationships, larger opportunities, or broader influence, it often strengthens your foundation through experiences that seem slow, repetitive, or even frustrating. What feels like standing still may actually be the most important construction phase of your entire journey. The danger during quiet seasons is not that nothing is happening. The danger is giving up because you mistakenly believe nothing is happening. Many people abandon their dreams just before their consistent effort begins producing visible results. They confuse silence with failure and waiting with defeat. But growth is often invisible until it reaches a point where it can no longer be hidden. Just as water slowly heats before it reaches the moment of boiling, your daily efforts are accumulating even when you cannot yet measure their impact. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every act of discipline, every courageous decision, and every positive habit becomes another layer added to the person you are becoming. Nothing is wasted when it contributes to your growth. As your power grows during these quiet seasons, you also become less dependent on circumstances for your confidence. You stop believing that happiness must wait until everything is perfect. You learn to appreciate the present while preparing for the future. You begin trusting your own progress instead of comparing your timeline to someone else's. This shift is incredibly freeing because it allows you to focus your energy on what you can control: your attitude, your choices, your consistency, and your willingness to keep moving forward. The more you strengthen these qualities, the less fear has over your life. Challenges no longer appear as barriers, but as opportunities to practice the strength you have been quietly building. One day, the silence will end. The opportunities you have been preparing for will begin to appear. People will notice your confidence, your wisdom, your resilience, and your ability to remain steady under pressure. They may call you fortunate or assume everything happened quickly, never realizing the years you spent growing when no one was watching. But you will know the truth. You will remember the mornings when you chose discipline over comfort, the evenings when you refused to surrender to discouragement, and the countless quiet moments when you continued believing in a future you could not yet see. Those unseen victories became the source of your visible success. So if your life feels unusually quiet today, do not mistake that silence for stagnation. You are not being forgotten. You are being strengthened. You are building the inner power that no circumstance can steal and no obstacle can destroy. The quiet season is not delaying your destiny. It is preparing you to step into it with wisdom, confidence, humility, and unshakable strength. And when the moment finally arrives for everything to change, you will discover that the greatest part of the transformation did not happen when the opportunity appeared. It happened long before, in the quiet season where your true power was built. Your next chapter begins with one inner decision. There comes a defining moment in every extraordinary life that from the outside looks completely ordinary. There is no dramatic announcement. No crowd gathers to witness it. No headlines are written about it. It happens quietly, within the privacy of the human heart and mind. It is the moment a person decides that they will no longer allow yesterday to determine tomorrow. It is the instant they stop waiting for perfect conditions and choose to become the author of their own future. Every remarkable transformation begins with this single inner decision. Before circumstances change, before opportunities appear, before success becomes visible, something shifts inside. A new standard is established, a new identity is embraced, a new vision is accepted. From that point forward, life begins moving in an entirely different direction, because the person experiencing it is no longer the same. The next chapter of your life does not begin when the world gives you permission. It begins the moment you give yourself permission to become the person you were always capable of becoming. Many people believe that one day they will wake up feeling completely fearless, fully confident, and perfectly prepared for every challenge ahead. They imagine that courage arrives first and action follows. Yet life teaches the opposite lesson. Courage is created through action, not before it. Confidence grows through experience, not through waiting. Every meaningful achievement begins with a decision made while uncertainty is still present. The person who changes their life is not someone who has eliminated every doubt. It is someone who has decided that their dreams deserve more attention than their fears. They understand that waiting for certainty often becomes another form of postponing the life they are meant to live. Instead of asking whether they are ready, they choose to become ready through consistent movement forward. The power of one decision should never be underestimated. Entire futures have been transformed because someone decided to forgive instead of holding on to resentment. Families have changed because one person chose to end generations of negative thinking. Businesses have been built because someone decided to take the first courageous step despite the possibility of failure. Relationships have been restored because one honest conversation replaced years of silence. Personal freedom has been discovered because someone finally decided to stop allowing fear to dictate every choice. Every one of these transformations began long before visible results appeared. They began with an invisible commitment that quietly redirected the course of a life. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that small decisions have little significance. In reality, your life is shaped far more by repeated daily choices than by rare extraordinary moments. Every morning you decide whether to feed hope or fear. You decide whether to focus on opportunity or limitation. You decide whether to strengthen habits that move you closer to your vision or continue repeating patterns that keep you where you are. These decisions may appear insignificant when viewed individually, but together they become the architecture of your future. A single brick seems unimportant until thousands of bricks become a magnificent building. In the same way, each positive decision you make adds another layer to the life you are creating. Great destinies are built one intentional choice at a time. There will always be reasons to delay your decision. Your mind may tell you that the timing is not perfect, that you need more experience, more money, more confidence, or more certainty before you move forward. Yet perfection has never been the requirement for transformation. Commitment has. The people who create extraordinary lives are not those who waited until every obstacle disappeared. They are the ones who chose progress over perfection. They accepted that mistakes would become teachers rather than enemies. They understood that every step forward, even an imperfect one, creates momentum that eventually becomes impossible to stop. Motion creates clarity. Action creates confidence. Commitment creates results. This inner decision also requires letting go of the identity that no longer serves you. You cannot enter a new chapter while insisting on carrying every fear, every regret, and every limiting belief from the previous one. Growth asks you to release the story that says you are not capable enough, not worthy enough, or not destined for something greater. Those stories may have been repeated for years, but repetition does not make them true. The moment you decide to replace them with beliefs that empower rather than imprison you, you begin seeing yourself differently. When you see yourself differently, you behave differently. When your behavior changes, your results eventually follow. Everything begins with the story you choose to believe about yourself. Imagine standing before a doorway that leads to a completely different future. On one side stands the familiar version of your life, comfortable but limited by old habits, familiar fears, and outdated expectations. On the other side is a future filled with possibilities you cannot yet fully imagine. The doorway between those two realities is not unlocked by luck. It is opened by decision. Every great journey begins with crossing that invisible threshold where you stop saying maybe someday and start saying, today is the day I move forward. Once that decision is made, the path may still contain challenges, but it also contains purpose. You no longer walk aimlessly because your direction has become clear. As this journey comes to an end, remember the truth that has echoed through every lesson we have explored. The greatest transformations begin in silence. You become the evidence before the world sees the results. Every delay has been positioning you for something greater. The quiet season has been building strength you did not know you possessed. And now, standing at the edge of your next chapter, everything comes down to one final choice. Will you continue living according to yesterday's limitations, or will you embrace the future that has been waiting for the person you are becoming? Your answer to that question will shape everything that follows. Perhaps this is the quiet moment where everything changes for you. Not because the world suddenly becomes different overnight, but because you have decided to become different. That decision may be invisible to everyone else today, but it has the power to transform every tomorrow that follows. Years from now, when you look back as season, you may realize that your life did not change because of one lucky break or one extraordinary event. It changed because, in one quiet moment, you made one unwavering decision, and from that moment on, you never looked back.